what are the main issues with risk engines and how can they be improved? Hi, this is Shira Rubinoff. I'm here with Israel Mazin, CEO of Memsico. Israel, such a pleasure to be with you here again.
Pleasure to be with you again, Shira.
Well, I'm excited about today's topics. It's really cutting edge, and not just that, something that people talk about and is in the media and people struggle with and organizations struggle with quite often. And this is the future of online fraud prevention, a huge topic. And when we speak about this, we're going to be talking about emerging regulations, statistics, and the need to shift towards digital trust and customer protection. So, Israel, what emerging forms of online fraud are you most concerned about? And I know there's plenty, but if you could hone in on some of the ones that you really see and you're most concerned about.
Yes, so what we see, again, it's a significant growth in online frauds, especially in many sectors, but especially in banks and financial institutions. It's that they try to transfer money to from users, between user to other to their accounts, of the hacker accounts, of course. And this is a growing problem in all of these financial institutions. Some, they're losing billions of dollars a year that they pay back to their customers because of these frauds. So we see a lot of these that are trying to scam. They're trying to start maybe sometimes with small amount, and if it's going well, they continue with larger and larger. Even like sometimes not, it can be thousands, or even we saw of hundreds of thousands that they transfer from one account to others. The problem that if you don't catch it fast and if you don't prevent it, it's very hard later to follow after where this money disappeared.
We talk about that a lot. They call it sometimes the low and slow, going in, maybe taking a penny, then maybe taking $1 or $5. And anybody looking at their accounts, they might think, oh, that's just a subscription. Maybe that was a tip. And if you look at your accounts now, sometimes it's separated. Legitimate charges are separated, the tips from their actual charges. So most people aren't very diligent about what's real and what's not. So that's a very important piece that you're saying, that it has to be noticed. What's real, what's not, even from the smallest amounts. And is there some more insight you can give on that?
Yes, so I think that the problem today, in all of these banks and financial institutions and other organizations, they have what we call a risk engine that's supposed to catch and try to see what are the suspicious transactions. The problem of all of these risk engine that they need data for this, and data in real time. For example, many of these scammers do it with theft credential of the user, and then the access to their account, and even the multi-factor authentication and all of these, they know how to bypass it, put me in the middle, and many others ways to do it, of the hackers. And then what the problem that all these risk engines, that a lot of false positives. Sometimes, I heard from banks that it's 80% they stop transactions, they don't need to stop, or sometimes because they don't want so many false positives, they don't stop it, and the scams is happen. So what I think the main issue that they need to have, it's real time. But the problem with theft credential in real time, that they don't know it in real time. So what they are doing today in most of the cases, they try to buy lists of the theft credentials, sometimes in dark web and other ways, but it's felt a lot of false positives. Secondly, it's not real time. So maybe it's after the fact. So this is the main issue of all of this risk engine today that they're using to find these suspicious transactions.
Well, you said something extremely important. Well, many things, but one thing I want to touch in on as real time. A lot of these engines that are out there, some of them are scanning, but their reporting is not in real time. It's a little after the fact, maybe 5-10 minutes, hours, or whatever it is, but then it's too late. Much more has happened. And, it's very important that you highlighted that. And I think that organizations and people looking for the right solutions need to understand whatever is happening needs to happen real time, because if it's not, it's too late. Everything has changed in moments. It's very critical. Those moments count. Every moment counts. So how are fraud teams working today? And how is this related to cybersecurity? Because fraud is, again, massive amount to talk about there, but specifically to cybersecurity. What can you share with us on that?
Yeah, so organization create today, and this is very important, what we call fusion center, that they integrate various of security functions to integrate it to one single integrated connection to try to proactively find this fraud. And so it's between fraud to cyber, it's all together to protect against this fraud. An organization need, after they created, I think this is very important, this fusion center, but then they need the right tools. Now, the right tools must be, as we said before, always proactive in real time. And this is where they are struggling, especially with theft credentials, what we discussed before. So what we see today, that the combination of the cyber and the fraud together to the fusion center definitely help a lot to protect against this type of frauds. But the other thing that I think will see more and more, product that can give them in real time to know the data of the theft credentials and a suspicious transaction that maybe come from a hacker and not from the real users. And this is also, it's something that, what we see, that to know the authorized devices of the users, and to know that it doesn't come from the authorized device, and many other of this type of products. So this will be very critical for implementation in the next few years for this type of organization like banks or other organizations, that to protect against these frauds in real time.
That's interesting. And I want to explain a little further to our audience. You spoke about being proactive and preventing the fraud, or once you have the fraud, preventing it from going further. Some may argue once there's fraud, it's already being reactive, but that's not correct. It's preventing the fraud that is seen from having more damage within the organization. Can you dive a little bit deeper into that for our audience to really understand that concept?
Yes, of course. So what I mean proactive, as I mentioned before, the way that they are scamming users, it's, they are doing social engineering, get their credential, or actually send them fake sites that look exactly like the site of the bank, and they enter the credential and man in the middle to get also the multi-factor authentication code and all of this. The main issue now, that when the hackers start using it, you need product that actually knows that it's a hacker, that knows that actually it's not coming from the regular device of the users. It's sophisticated because the hacker try also is some of them sophisticated hackers, so they're trying to also. There are some tools today, by the way, that they stealing all the parameters of the browser and everything, but they cannot steal the device itself. And this is where critical also products that even they steal with the tools that they have today from the user itself, from the machine itself, of the user, the parameters, and also the browser parameters and other passwords and everything, they steal product. This product can understand and knows because it's not coming from the same device of the user. And this is very critical because then they can stop the fraud.
Well, that's very important what you said. If they're able to steal that type of data, it's almost being able to get a man in the middle to steal part of a multi-factor authentication piece because they have that data, something they have, know, or are. So that's very important as well. And we spoke a little bit about the risk engines. And one of the problems that we did discuss is that some of them are not in real time in terms of reporting. So besides that, what are the main issues with risk engines? And how can they be improved? How could our audience look at the risk engines and say, you know what, we're not happy with the way the reportings are. What can they do?
Okay, this is very important because, as I said before, there are 80% or a lot of false positive in risk agents, these risk engines, because they prefer to stop transactions, but sometimes they don't stop the fake transactions. What they need to improve, as I said before, the main issue that they have, that they don't have in real time the credential that have been stolen, because they don't have anything today, and they need to implement new products now. And what we know from banks and that what they are doing, they buy this, as I said before, on the dark web or other lists. But this list, first, most of these lists are fake. Secondly, it's already happened, the scam. So what they need better feed to the risk engine, better feed of the credential that compromised, which users, which got compromised. And then they can know the devices of this user, all of this information in real time. So then they know that there is some anomalies or, strange behavior, suspicious behaviors. But if they buy just on the dark web or other lists, it's too late.
Yes, yes. And you know what? Exactly as you said, after the fact, it's too late. And setting that up the right way at the beginning is the only way to go. Well, Israel, this has been great insight into the future of online fraud prevention. Thank you so much. And I know our audience thanks you. And I look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thank you, Shira. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.